Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
There are many instances in which it may be difficult for an individual to properly secure their Bitcoin. Perhaps the hardware wallet options out there are a little too expensive for you, or perhaps maybe you reside in an area where it's difficult or expensive to ship those items to, or maybe it's a combination of the both. But regardless, you may be sitting in a situation where you have a fair amount of Bitcoin savings put away, and it's sitting on nothing more than a hot wallet on a mobile phone, which is connected to the internet. And that's not always ideal for safely keeping your Bitcoin. However, all is not lost. There is a method which you can use to better secure your Bitcoin against a single point of failure. And what I mean by single point of failure is if somebody gets your device, they de facto have access to all of your funds. You don't want that to be the case. We can do something called multisig or multi-signature with nothing more than an app on two separate cheap Android phones. So we're going to be looking at that today, how to set it up, how to use it, and how to recover in the event of a loss of data. And we're going to be using Muun Wallet as an app on your phone to do a multi-sig setup. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io, where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. For myself, the Bitcoin-backed loans have been very, very helpful in that I'm able to get my hands on dollars when I'm in a pinch because I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. Of course, I'm always worried about having to buy back at a higher price, and the fact that in Canada, it is a taxable event. So I'm able instead to deposit Bitcoin here, get dollars to my bank account, and then when I pay back those dollars, I get back the same amount of Bitcoin. Of course, they've also got their Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts with interest rates up to 9.5% annually paid monthly, and their B2X offering, which buys you more Bitcoin using the same loan mechanism. Check them out, links down below, and if you opt to get a loan, they'll give you $25 for free into your savings. Bitbuy in Canada is a very, very easy way to get your hands on Bitcoin. These guys are top notch when it comes to security. They've been doing yearly proof of reserve audits. They have a mobile app and an easy web interface. And after your first $250 purchase, you get $20 for free. Check them out. Links are down below. Now, I do live on Bitcoin. One of the ways that really helps me do this is Bitrefill. You can grab any gift card you can imagine on here, and you can pay with Bitcoin on-chain or via Lightning Network, and you earn sats back as you shop. Check them out. Links are below. Now, you guys know I do love, of course, my Keystone Wallet, formerly known as the Kobo Vault. This thing is awesome. It's air-gapped. It's fully offline. SD card slot has moved to the side now, rechargeable battery, secure element, Bitcoin only firmware that you can upgrade to. This thing is a beast. Be sure to check it out, and I am doing a video on it, so be sure to check for that as well. And finally, if you're backing up any Bitcoin wallet that is important to you, it's good to get your backup in solid steel because paper opens you up to water damage, fire damage, accidentally discarding it. Not the case when it comes to the BillFodl over at privacypros.io. This is how I back up my important Bitcoin wallets. Just a couple quick prerequisites here. You should be familiar with doing regular Bitcoin transactions. And one way that you can familiarize yourself with this is that I've done a video on Muun Wallet, which we'll be using today by itself as a regular Bitcoin wallet. So be sure to check that out. Another thing that could be helpful is understanding Bitcoin fees, which I do have a full video on as well. And then just in general, using Lightning transactions with something like Muun Wallet, which I have a video on as well. And I do mention Strike Strike app as well. And if you're unfamiliar with that, there's a full video. All of those tutorials will be linked to below. So if you're unsure if this is for you yet and you haven't done any of those steps yet, then maybe go back and peek at those videos first before diving into the complexity of something like a multi-sig vault. With that, let's dive in. Let's just talk quickly about what multi-sig or what a multi-sig vault is. Effectively, when you have a regular Bitcoin wallet, what is actually held in the app or in the device is a set of keys to your funds. And a single copy of that key will be able to unlock and spend said funds. When you're creating a multi-sig vault, it requires multiple keys to unlock and spend your funds. So you can set this up however you like. Think of a bank vault that requires multiple keys being turned at the same time in order to open, except you can pick how many keys total there are and how many of those total keys are required to move funds. So for instance, you could have a vault that has 3 key slots, and you need at least 2 of those keys in order to move funds. For today's example, we're going to do one that is the simplest and the cheapest, which is 2 of 2, meaning the vault, the digital vault for your Bitcoin, will have 2 key slots and require both keys to move funds. I'm doing it this way for this video because, again, this is the most low cost option. But keep in mind, when you're doing this, it's probably, in terms of user error, a little bit better to do a 2 of 3 option where there's 3 possible keys. And even if you misplace one, you can still use the 2 remaining to unlock your funds. But we will go through the backup as we set this up and everything. But 2 of 3 is probably more advisable. But if you're really stuck, 2 of 2 will work. You just got to make sure that you're very careful with your backups of everything so that you never lose one of the keys and one of the backups of the keys at the same time. And we'll discuss more as we go. All right, so here we are, and I have 2 wallets that have Blue Wallet downloaded and installed. One is totally empty, doesn't have any wallets on it. The other one has some other previous wallets that I've used. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Blue Wallet in general and you want to see how to use it, I do have a regular, just run-of-the-mill Blue Wallet how-to video with basic functionality. I've also done a video on how to use multi-sig with Blue Wallet and actual hardware wallets like the Cold Card and the Cobalt Vault, now known as the Keystone, so you can check out those as well. But for today, we're just using 2 regular Android phones. So let's get started. I'm going to start here on this device, and we're going to hit add now to create a new wallet. You could also do it by hitting the plus sign in the top right. So we hit add now, and we want to do a vault. Okay, this is going to be our multi-sig vault. You can give it a name. We'll just call it test today, and I'll hit vault and create. Okay. Now this is where you choose your settings. Now in the intro to this video, I was talking about doing a 2 of 2 multi-sig, meaning that there's 2 possible keys and you need both of them to unlock your funds. Here it says 2 of 3. You can change this to any configuration you like. So we're going to go to Vault Settings. And it defaults to 2 of 3. As I said, probably your best bet, but if you don't have access to 3 devices, you may need to do 2 of 2 for now. So we're going to go ahead, 2 of 2. All right. And we're just going to leave this as best practices, and we're going to hit done. Perfect. And we're going to hit let's start. Perfect. So at this point, we need to create or import keys. All right, we're going to create 1 key on the first device, and we're going to create key number 2 on the second device, so that the 2 keys, it'll require both devices in order to unlock your funds. So we're going to hit create new, and this gives you your backup phrase like you would get with a regular Bitcoin wallet. So you would write down this information and you would keep it safe. And we're just going to do that off screen, and then we'll come back and hit done. So I've written it down. I'll hit done now. And at this point, we're going to need to interface with the other device. So I'll go ahead and open that up. We'll put down this one for now. Now, same thing. We're going to hit the plus sign this time in the top right to create a new wallet. We're going to choose Vault. And again, we'll just name it Test on this device as well. And hit Create. All right, again, we're going to go into the settings and we want 2 of 2. Leave it as best practices and hit done. And let's start. Okay, now on this device, we're going to create a new key as well. So we're going to hit create new. And we get back the backup of the other key. So we're going to write this down off screen again. Same thing, and we'll be right back. And once again, we're all done here. We hit done. Perfect. Now this is the part where you're going to need to interact with both devices at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit import on the first device under Vault Key 2. And on the second device, we're going to hit the share button, which gives you a QR code. So you can then hit the scan. And what we're doing is we're adding the second key to this device so it knows what key is required to unlock your funds. And then we're going to do it vice versa. We're going to go import over here, and we're going to share the original one we did on the first device and scan that. Good. Now, both devices are aware of the other key that was created. And when we hit create on both of them, we now have a multi-sig vault that requires both devices to approve transactions. So what we've just done is we've created 2 keys. And in the process of that, we take bits of information from each key to effectively create a map to a digital vault. Now you have a few pieces of information here. You have the information that is the key from device 1. You have the information that is the key from device 2. That is stored on each individual device, and you've written a backup of each key in the form of those 12 words. You also have information regarding the actual vault itself where your money is stored. So this is the backup of your actual vault, which looks a little bit different. Let's just look at what that backup would look like. If you go into the actual wallet here and hit the top right, there's an option where you can export the coordination setup. Okay. And this is different from export/backup above. Export/backup above, the top option, will export not only kind of the map to your vault, but also the key that resides on this device. So depending on how you're storing that, you may not want those 2 keys residing in the same place at the same time, because an attacker that gets a hold of both devices would then be able to utilize and spend your funds. So depending on how you do it, you can hit export coordination setup. And this is going to give you effectively a file that says, hey, this is where your actual money resides. Okay, this is where you hold your money. And we need 2 keys to access it, but this does not contain either of the keys. Okay, just all the information of where the vault is digitally. So you can share that in any way, shape, or form. You can share it as a file. Good idea to share it, I would say, via, save a file to either your phone, and it saves into your downloads folder by default here. So it's a good idea to do this on both phones so that if you lose one, you still have like the map to your money. You can even save that file and email it to yourself or put it in cloud storage without the risk of actually compromising your funds. The worst thing that could happen is somebody could see your balance if they got access to this file. And as I said, the regular export / backup actually saves one of the keys. So not quite as secure. So depending how you want to play it, it's just fine to save that export coordination setup is kind of my tactic. All right. You can do the same thing on this one. You can go to the vault and you can go to export coordination setup, and it'll also save the file on this device as well. Or you can go into your, I'll hit share there. Or you can go into your downloads folder and then send it to yourself. So it tells you where it is saved on your phone. Perfect. That's all we need for now. Now we can start using this vault and actually putting some money into it. So let's practice that. This is Muun Wallet, and I have done a full tutorial on how to use it. It's a great Bitcoin wallet that allows you to receive and send payments not only in regular Bitcoin transactions, but also utilizing the Lightning Network. And it just has a single unified balance, and you can interact with it as you please. This is a great pairing with something like the Strike app for people that are utilizing that and want to send from dollars to Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin themselves. And that's actually in the example that I showed in the video that tutorial that I did of this. Nonetheless, I want to send Bitcoin from this wallet into my vault for long-term savings. Okay, let's see what that might look like. First of all, we're going to jump back to Blue Wallet, and we're in our multisig vault right now. I want to receive money into this account. I'm going to hit receive. And it double checks, hey, have you backed this up? Yes, I absolutely have. I'm going to hit yes. And this gives me a regular Bitcoin address. You can tap to copy that address, all right? This address is just, where are you going to send your Bitcoin to? And that is the answer. We're going to jump back to Muun. Quick PIN number. By the way, this is a test wallet. So at this point, I'm going to hit the send button. And it detects already that I have an address in my clipboard. So I can just paste that. And then I'm going to choose how much money I'd like to send. I'd like to send $100. This is going to be long-term savings. Now at this point, it's going to ask, well, where are you sending this to? Just for your own records. Nobody else gets this information. I'm going to just say vault. And then at this point, you can also change your network fee. Now, I've done a full video on how fees work on the Bitcoin network and things you may need to consider when setting your fees. I'm looking right now at kind of what the fees are like on the network. I can definitely change this. I think I'm probably going to do it manually. And again, if this seems a little difficult to you, don't worry. I would just learn a little bit about Bitcoin network fees and make adjustments as you see fit. But Lightning Network helps with that a lot if you're trying to cut down on fees. But I'm okay with this. I'm setting a slightly lower fee for this video, and then I'm going to hit send. Okay, that has now been sent off. So let's jump over to Blue Wallet. I'm going to close this. And in order to, oh, there we go. I got a notification, incoming transaction. If I swipe down, it will update and it'll say, hey, you've got a pending transaction coming in for this much Bitcoin. By the way, this is showing full Bitcoin. I can change my desired denomination simply by tapping, and it'll show sats, or by tapping, it'll show dollars. So it's around $100 that's receiving there. I prefer to look at sats. In a single Bitcoin, there are 100 million sats. So I like seeing the high number there. 294,509 sats are incoming to this wallet. Once that is confirmed, which on average is about every 10 minutes, there's a confirmation on the Bitcoin network, then it will be spendable and we can test sending money out of our vault using both keys. So we'll be back when that happens. Once you've received a confirmation on your transaction, it will look like this. There will no longer be a little clock. It'll say conf 1 or more, depending on how long you've been letting it sit there. And at this point, it is now spendable. You can send out utilizing the key on this device and the other one combined. So let's say you had some long-term savings that was sitting in your multi-sig vault, and you thought to yourself, hey, I'm going to need to start spending this, and maybe I want to send it out. Maybe I want to send it to another wallet as a regular Bitcoin transaction, or maybe I want to get it back into my Muun Wallet in order to utilize it for Lightning transactions, so on and so forth, for day-to-day expenditures. Well, let's practice doing that, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we need to receive into Muun. That means we need to know where we're sending. Okay, so we're going to jump back to Muun Wallet, and we're going to hit the receive button so that we get a Bitcoin address. Because as I said, with the multi-sig vault, you are using regular Bitcoin transactions, on-chain Bitcoin transactions, not Lightning. Okay, so that's what you need to use when you're in Muun. You have the option between Bitcoin and Lightning. Lightning won't work until you get it out of your multi-sig vault. So at this point, we're going to hit, you can tap to copy and just copy there. And we're going to jump back to your vault and we're going to hit send. Now at this point, I'm going to, just so it's easy, I'm going to deal with dollars here. Just mentally, it works a little bit better for me right now. And I'm going to paste in that address I just copied from Muun Wallet, my Bitcoin address. And I would like to send $50 to this address. Okay. Now I'm going to tap on where it says fee and just kind of double check what I'm paying. That looks okay to me. And I'm going to hit next. And at this point, it's going to basically give me a summary of what's going on and exactly what is needed. Okay. So it says, hey, you're sending this much to this Bitcoin address. You already have one key on this device, which is ready to approve, but you need another key in order to confirm. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit provide signature. So you've now got this rotating QR code sitting on your first device where you've said, I want to send $50 to my Muun Wallet, and it already has one key to authorize that, but you need a second one. So I'm going to put this one down. I've got the other device here with the second key. Okay. And on this device, within your multi-sig vault, you need to hit the send button. And then instead of reconstructing a transaction, you can go to the top right, the three little dots, and you're going to hit sign a transaction. And you're going to use the camera to scan. And you just let it rotate through. Okay, now it says, would you like to co-sign this transaction? And you just hit yes. And it brings up the entire completed transaction on this device. At this point, you can take a look over. Okay, everything looks good. It's about $50 going to that address that I looked at before. I'm going to hit confirm, and I'm going to hit send now. And off it goes. And if I pull up this, I can see already a transaction coming into my Muun Wallet. But let's just get back out of here. And if I swipe down, it should update. Now, I thought that it was going to be sent from this wallet, but it was actually sent from the other one, so that's why I backed out of it. There's another way you can do it as well, but I'll show that in a moment. Okay, great. So there, we have an outgoing transaction headed to Muun Wallet. And let's just jump over to Muun. And we can see that we've got the little clock here, an incoming transaction. If I hit the arrow up at the bottom, it gives us all the details. Hey, you were paid this amount, this number of sats, and it's in the midst of confirming on the Bitcoin network. Great. let's try one more time sending a transaction for the remainder that is in our multisig vault. I just want to show you guys what that might look like. So once again, we're going to grab a receiving address from Muun. I'll hit receive. And again, there's my Bitcoin address. I'm going to hit copy. I'll jump back to our vault. I'm going to hit send. I'm going to paste in that address that I copied. This time I want to send out the rest. I want to send out all of it. So I'm going to hit the top right and there's an option that says use full balance. Yep. And then I'm going to check my fee. That looks good to me. I'm going to hit next. Okay, so I have one key. I would like now to provide a signature to this from the other device. Okay, so I will leave that here for a second. And here's our vault on the other device. I'm going to hit send like last time. I'm going to go to the top right, the three dots, sign a transaction. And if this one is not, let's say this one was not connected to the internet and I want to export this signed transaction to the original device. Well, I'm going to hit export and I'm going to hit scan or import file on the original one. And now I have both signatures on the original device. So just a slightly different way of doing it. I can hit confirm here, send now, and off that transaction goes out of our vault. Swipe down, we now have a zero balance here. And if I jump back to Muun, oops. Another incoming transaction, confirming on the Bitcoin network that should be there just momentarily. So what happens if you need to recover your multisig vault on a different set of devices? Or what if you lose one of the devices and you need to import your data? Well, you do have data in a couple different ways. You've saved a file to each of these devices in the backup process that effectively is a map to your vault, but it doesn't contain the keys. Your keys are on each device, but they're also here as those 12 words that you wrote down previously. And we can use those to recover your vault. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now we have the vault right here, but I'm going to recreate it as its own wallet. Even if this was a new device, it would work the same. So let's hit the plus button and we're going to choose vault. We're going to call this test 2. Even though it's the exact same. And we're going to hit create. Okay, now remember it was 2 of 2. Okay, we're going to hit done. And we're going to hit let's start. And here what we're going to do is instead of hitting create new, because that's going to create an entirely new vault, we're going to hit import. And then you get this little text area. And this is where you can type in one of the keys. Very important that you just do one, probably not two, unless this is like a sudden measure to move all of your funds elsewhere, because you know it's no longer effective security if you have the same 2 keys to unlock the vault on the same device, right? The security comes from having 2 separate devices that somebody would need to get a hold of, hopefully stored separately as well, so you protect your funds from sudden movement of somebody getting a hold of one of these devices. So you can just take your first key here and type it in word by word with a single space in between, no capital letters, anything. You just type it in as is. So we're going to do that first. once I've typed in all of my words, I double check them on the paper here. And if that looks all good, I hit import. Great. So I've got the first key on this device and we're ready to go. Okay. Now, over here on the second device, I'm going to go through the same steps, creating a new wallet, choosing Vault and naming it Test2. And I'm going to hit create. We will go 2 of 2. Done. Let's get started. We'll hit import and we'll type in the second key rather than the first one that we put on the first device. Okay. When they're all typed in and I double check on the paper to make sure that they are correct, I can hit import. All right, and I've got my first key on this device. Now, just like last time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to share the keys with each device. So on this first one, I'm going to hit import, scan or import a file. And on the second one, I'm going to hit share, which should bring up that QR code. And vice versa, I will share and I will hit import and scan. And then I'll hit create on both. And take a look at that. These are freshly set up and with the old keys that we previously had. And you can see the transaction history is perfectly updated here and ready to go. And just to show you that these are separate wallets, if I back out, there's test 1 with the 3 transactions. There's test 2, the recreation of this wallet with the same 3 transactions. So I was able to successfully recreate this multi-sig vault with nothing more than Blue Wallet on a device and these 2 keys that I wrote down before. Let's look at one more easy way to import that backup if you have access to that test backup that we created previously. Remember, before we went in and we exported a file that's saved to our downloads folder on our phone. So if we add a new wallet and we go down to the bottom, we hit import wallet, then we can also choose scan or import file. And then within this screen here, there's a little button near the bottom that looks like a little piece of paper, a file. We're going to tap on that. And there's that test.txt file that we saved before. I'm going to tap on that. And we can already see it has the transaction history there. So it's already set and ready to go. But there's one little thing that you'll notice is that backup doesn't contain the actual keys. It just allows us to see the balance. So the difference here is that we can go to manage keys and it says, hey, there's a vault key 1. It doesn't have the ability to actually sign these transactions. We just know the public information about that. But you can say, I have the seed for this key, and your seed is these words here that you wrote down previously. So you can actually go and you can import one seed to one phone and then do the same on the opposite. Or if you're in a pinch, you don't have 2 devices, you could import both of these temporarily to then move the funds out if you want to put them in a more secure location. But just know that having both seeds on the same wallet, on the same device, gets rid of the security that multisig is there for. Okay, so you can still access your funds from a single device as long as you have these backups ready to go. Now, a couple little notes regarding security. The main security that comes from multisig is by having these 2 separate keys stored away from each other in any form. So that means that this wallet and the opposite key, so this wallet in particular has one of these keys on it. You want to make sure you don't store these two keys as they're written here, you know, side by side. If somebody gets a hold of this paper, that gives them full access to all of the funds in the multisig vault. You would likely have these cut separately away from each other on different pieces of paper and stored in safe locations away from each other. Same thing with these two devices. I don't want to keep both of these in the exact same spot in my home. No, I prefer to have one in one location and one in another. Maybe one is on a phone that you carry around, and maybe the other one is stored somewhere in a safe, okay, or stored with a friend. And that friend cannot access those funds. They might be able to see a balance, but they cannot access those funds. They can merely just keep that key for safekeeping. All right. So keep that in mind when you're storing these backups and you're storing your devices with your multisig vault. You will be able to access it again later, as long as you have both keys in some way, shape, or form. All right. The other thing to note is if I lose, say, a device that has a key on it, and I also lose the backup of that key, I will not be able to access my funds again. They will effectively be frozen in that vault forever. So make sure that you're not leaving, say, this device and the key that's also on that device in the same place where something bad could happen to both of them. Because if there's a fire or a flood or something like that, and both copies of that one key are gone, your funds are frozen if it's a 2 of 2 multisig setup. And this is why I said earlier that if you have access to 3 devices, it's a little bit safer, because then you could feasibly lose a device and the corresponding key to it. And still, if you have access to the other 2 remaining keys, you would be able to move your funds out to somewhere safer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But if you're short on funds, but you have access to a couple cheap Android phones, this could be an option for you to more securely store your savings and your Bitcoin. And if you want to really test this backup theory, create yourself your own wallet, write down a backup, do a transaction in and out, and then try recreating the wallet just as I did here. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do remember to hit like, subscribe, and share. All of those things help so much when it comes to getting this content in front of more eyeballs. Now, if you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below. That was LEDN, Bitbuy, Bitrefill, Keystone, and BillFodl, all in the links below. And if you really loved what you saw, you can always hit me up with a Bitcoin tip via my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. And when you pull it up, you can type in any amount you want and then hit the tip button. And it will bring up a QR code for Lightning or regular Bitcoin on-chain transactions. As always, thank you guys. I will see you next time. I am Ben, and this has been your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.